from Locks in the City. Just going to do another video. This time we'll do a video on why I chose to sort of go down the route of non-destructive entry, why I focus a lot of my time on doing this, you know. And the reason being, as I said in probably the first video or second video, I'm one of them people that are technically minded, I guess. So, you know, I enjoy taking things apart, fault finding. You know, I've got a lot of mental dexterity. I like to understand how things work and everything else like that. I'm maybe not so much great in making a tool side of stuff. I mean, I can see things in my head, but again, it's getting it onto the paper and then into a working tool, and that's not where my strengths lie necessarily. I'll leave that to Garen at GJ Locks. But it's more like the sensitivity and feeling in my hand. You know, over the year, people say, "Oh, I can't believe you opened that lock," you know, or you'll go and show people how to do something, and so you make it look so easy. And that is what I would say to people myself. You know, when I was learning, you know, one of the people who I used to go to the shows and watch and sort of think the same thing was Jason Hillier. I mean, he will pick locks open like there's no tomorrow, you know. Very, very skilled. And again, it's a similar thing. He's always practicing, you know. He doesn't just go 2-3 weeks and then have a half hour. He likes to take locks and just keep working with them and picking them, and that's why he remains extremely good at what he does, you know. But for me, it was just more of, it's that engineering and everything that's gone into making a lock supposedly anti-pick. That's the buzz I get from it. I like to find a way to get around that, or if there's a tool out there, I like to be able to defeat that lock, you know. And I like puzzles, and lock picking is just a puzzle, you know. Everything's got to be in the right place at the right time for that picture to be complete. It's the same as lock picking. Everything has to be in the right place at the right time for that plug to turn, you know. So locksmithing is just a big puzzle. It's a big mental game, and a lot of the time when people are struggling, it's because of what I find is patience. People haven't got a lot of patience. If you're someone who's quite fiery, who's quite agitated if things are not going your way, you know, and everyone's different, you know, it's not saying that's a bad trait, it's just, if that's the sort of traits that you have, you'll struggle with locksmithing. You need to be someone who can sit for hours and hours on end. I mean, there's some locks out there that are open, you know, probably a couple of minutes. And recently, I'll talk about it, I was having to open a Fortress, brand new, out of the box. We opened the box, I got the keys out, I didn't look at the keys, I just put it in the lock, threw it, put the keys and hid them to the side, so I couldn't see the keypad, so I didn't know highs, lows, nothing. Fortress, I find a relatively easy pick, quite a lock that gives a lot of feedback, you know, and I've picked countless of them, you know? And what I found this particular day, I was trying to pick the lock, and the lock just kept going into well, it wasn't even going into anti-pick. I feel the bolt come back slightly, and when I'm tapping under the levers, I was getting, as I refer to it personally, other people might have a different terminology as tapping, and it's where the stump has started to pass into the gate of the lever, and there's that slight tap where the top of the lever and the bottom of the lever are tapping on the stump. If it's in anti-pick, the lock is bound up with that particular lever. but all 5 levers had a tap tool, and the lock still wouldn't open. You know, I probably spent 40 minutes trying to open this lock left-hand throw, and I couldn't fathom it out, and I didn't want to open the lock to check inside it or anything like that. So I decided, because it was in the vice, I just flipped it around so it was right-hand throw, changed my wire, and within a couple of minutes I'd opened that lock. And you know, but that's just how it is. You know, from time to time there's going to be locks out there that just throw a spanner in the works, but I don't like to give up. I like to just keep working and finding a way around it, you know, and I know that patience in the end will always win, you know, because if you're sat at a door, you know, if you're doing evictions and warrants, you know, that's not what you can't really apply this to that. But if you're going to a job and you've got no one breathing over your shoulder, or you know, you're with a customer and it's not pouring down with rain or freezing cold, you know, you could take that little bit of extra time to get a door open. So, you know, if it takes you 40 minutes, you know, and you're only going to charge the customer the same amount of money, and you ain't got a list of jobs behind you waiting, and you can afford to just spend that extra bit of time there, then I will do, because it's over that period of time and patience. At some point, that configuration that you need in order to pick that lock will most likely come through. So I will always stick at it, you know. And there's been many times and many jobs that I've gone to, and you get there and sort of think, I'll be easy, a couple of minutes, I'll be in. And an hour later, you can still be there. And I find it hard to walk away from something, go get me drill, or what other means I've got of getting in. I hate to be defeated in that sense, so I will dedicate a lot of time to locks, to open them, and that's what I did at the beginning. You know, I got fixated from when I started picking rim cylinders, you know, your easy stuff, and just moving up the cylinder range. You know, at the time an X5 cylinder, Yale rim cylinder, was considered high security, had the BS kite mark on it and massive anti-drill protection on it, and everything else like that. And, you know, after I started getting good at the cylinders, that was my aim, to be able to hand pick them. You know, I'm not all about just the electric pick gun. You know, even though electric pick, I own a few, my electric pick gun isn't my first go-to tool. My first go-to tool is always my picks, because they're in my pocket. You know, so if I go to a job and it's a Euro or a rim cylinder, my picks are always in my pocket. So I've got kind of a habit now of that'll be my first go-to tools. You know, when I do some of the gas safety stuff, which is in a sense going to a property, we open the door to let the gas safety engineer in, go do his gas safety checks, and then we'll come out and relock the property back up. So it's not a warrant as in you have to have a warrant to gain entry like the gas and electric companies. You know, this is for a housing association, so you're not it's in the tenant's contract that allow you to go in if they don't contact you, but it's for their safety. So from that, I always used to go up to the door and just solely just have my picks in my pocket, and because I knew 9 times out of 10 it would be a rim cylinder on the door, or a rim and a Euro, or it'd just be a Euro on the door. So I try to keep that consistency of practicing my picking. I use my jobs for my practicing as well. So because it's just nice to be able to do it, you know, and it keeps my skill up, and it's through choice. I'm not saying it's wrong if you go to every job and you use electric pick gun. It's not wrong, as long as you get that lock open, whatever is your method. Again, because there's a skill in using an electric pick gun. You don't just put it in and then it works. You know, you still have to understand how to operate that lock to get it open. So, but I do use electric pick gun. You know, if the lock doesn't go relatively quick, I'm under a bit of more of a time constraint, I'll use the pick gun, or I use my bypass wire, which probably is quicker than anything. In all fairness, the GJ bypass wire that I use is probably my go-to tool, because again, that's always in my picks as well. So if they've got the 1-star cylinder on them and you've got a couple of these gas safeties to get to on a time frame, I'll do that, so it's perfect. But it's just that type of job involves me being able to do stuff non-destructively, because ideally they want the door locked up after, you know, to save any hassle of, you know, if a tenant comes back at 5:30 in the evening, they're not going to be able to get into their property if you've changed the lock. And if everyone goes home at 5 o'clock at the office, that person potentially is locked out of their property. So that's why it's quite important to be able to do the non-destructive stuff. And you know, if you're going to a place and you're going to change the lock, a lot of people will have the mindset, well, if I'm going to change the lock, I might as well just drill it open. And if that's your opinion, that's fine. You know, I'm not going to say you're wrong for that. But me, again, personally, even if I know I'm going to be changing that lock, I still want to pick it open. And the reason I want to pick it open is it just keeps my fingers nimble. It keeps my fingers sensitised. You know, the muscle memory remains. You know, that's the reason why I do it. You know, and the same with the Euros. Again, I have a full array of the GJ array of stuff, and I'll do a video on that, of going through all of the tools that I use, what's my favourite, what's my least favourite, you know, stuff that I've got that's okay, or stuff that if this fails I use this, you know. So I'll do videos on them as well, because I think that'd be quite an interesting video for people to sort of see. It's always nice to see what sort of tools other people use, so that's what I'll do. So where cylinders was like my main interest at the beginning, you know, mortises were as well, but that seemed a million miles away when I first got into locksmithing. You know, mortise locks were what people dreaded the most. And don't get me wrong now, like, you'll go up to a door, even though you know you've probably got all the equipment to get it open, it's just that you can sometimes in the back of your mind just have, well, what if it doesn't open? What if, and that's the wrong mindset to go to a door, you know. I mean, I remember when I first got into repossessions, and I was like the start of my locksmithing interest and career, you know, your main thing, when I get to a job early, you know, if my job was, for argument's sake, 10 o'clock in the morning, I'd want to be there at least at 9:30. The reason being is I wanted to be able to go up to the door and see what was on the door. Get parked up and go and check, is it a rim cylinder, is it a mortise lock, is it a Euro, if it's a Euro, what sort of Euro is it, can I get any advanced help on what mortise lock it was, so that I could go to the van and get either my drill points or whatever method I was going to use. And then over time, more and more experienced I became, and I think you get to a point where you don't really fear anything as such, because you've got such an arsenal of tools and an array of ways of getting in. It sort of becomes less important, to the point now some jobs I'll turn up, if it's for argument's sake an eviction or commercial forfeiture, or the locks need to be changed for whatever reason and I've got to meet a landlord or an agent on site, I'll just roll up when I need to. You know, I won't get out of the van and go and inspect it, see what it's got or anything like that, unless they tell me it's something obscure. Then I'll go and I'll have a look to ensure that, you know, that it's something I carry on the van to replace if it's something that needs replacing. But other than that, I don't fear the job, and I won't be panicking myself to get there and get out of the van, go and see what I've got. But that just comes with experience, so, you know, and practice. And a lot of people say, oh, how do you find the time? Well, it's one of them things that, because it was a hobby, you kind of make time for it. You know, if I'm sitting in front of the TV, or you're on a train, or parked up outside a job and you've got a bit of time between a job and another job, I'll pick up my picks, a cylinder, and I'll just practice, whether it's dimple or normal cylinder. It just keeps me in a routine and keeps my, as I say, the feel for it. Because you find, when I go away on holiday, whether it's a week or 2 weeks, when I come back, although you haven't lost your skill, you kind of have that moment of where it just takes a couple of minutes to sort of get yourself back into it, you know, to just get yourself familiarised with it all. You know, you don't lose the skill, but you're just not used to having that sort of time frame away from things, you know. So that's why I like to do it, and because there's a lot of jobs out there where non-destructive entry is quite important. You know, if I go to, for argument's sake, a metal gate, I don't really want to be drilling it open, because it's not a case of, oh, you just put some filler in it and it's back to normal. Once you've put a hole in that gate, it's a target for someone else. You know, if someone else goes there later on, everything's there for them. Or if you're doing a, for argument's sake, a commercial forfeiture lease, you want to make that property as secure as you can, because you don't want the ex-tenants to break back in for whatever reason or cause any damage. If they're aware of what the door normally looks like, or what the metal gate normally looks like, and then they come there and they see a hole that wasn't there previously, they kind of know how you got in. They know where they need to drill now, or where they need to attack that lock, because they sort of think, well, that's where the locksmith went, that's how they got in. If I go in the same area, I'll be able to get it open, you know. So I like to eliminate all of them possibilities. I kind of think that makes a lot of sense. So I will do what I can to eliminate the that, and by learning to pick, decode, whatever method you use, bypass, is what interests me. I'm not interested. I don't get any enjoyment out of drilling locks, although it's part of a job. And don't get me wrong, and I've said in the previous videos, you know, I don't frown on anyone who drills. If that's how you run your business, that's fine. If you're causing a lot of damage, of course, I don't agree with that, you know, especially if it's unnecessary. And I know we all make mistakes, and it's, from time to time, you know, you're going to probably end up drilling an additional hole, or the hole's going to be a bit bigger than you would like. You know, I'm not frowning on it. And again, guys, I'm not being negative towards anyone in particular. You know, you run your business as you want to, and you pick your locks, open your locks, whatever way you choose to. But if you're looking to understand why I do it, this is why I personally do it. And it's quite an addictive buzz, I find. You know, I suppose it's like my equivalent of a drug or smoking for other people. That moment when you're manipulating a lock, and you can feel the lock is about to go, and you're sort of that anticipation, you know, is it going to go, is it going to go? And then when it goes, you know, I still get that feeling of elation when I do that, whether it's a cheap cylinder that you know you could pick with your eyes closed, or it's an expensive cylinder. You know, it is a buzz. I get enjoyment from it with mortise locks, you know, pretty much any type of locks. If you're able to open it, and you find a lot of people who've never seen it done, you know, they look at you in amazement. You know, they kind of think, well, you know, it's a bit alien to people. So when people see things that are alien, they're intrigued, you know, and it makes them feel, when you go to a job and you open their door and you've done it without any damage, it can work in two ways. If they see you open a door extremely quickly, and they say, oh, that was really quick, and you sort of say, you can get an upsell from that. Now, I'm not saying that you should use it as a technique to upsell, because that's not what I'm saying, and I don't suggest anyone do that. But if a lock is poor, obviously you want to advise a customer that their lock is of poor quality, and that there is available locks out there that are higher and less resistant to how you opened it. But then you get the people that will turn around and say, well, if you go there and you pick the lock, you lose the sale of the lock, and you're doing yourself out of money. And I can see that argument as well, you know? But by picking a lock, whatever lock it may be, I don't have to carry as much stock on my vehicle as anybody else, or not, you know, or anyone else that chooses to swap a lock out all the time. I don't have to carry euros in every size, every colour, you know, every finish, in whether it's thumb turn, key and key. You know, I don't have to carry deadlocks in every array of shape, size, back set, finish. Again, you know, I don't have to lug that around because I've got means and methods of opening these doors. And if it's a mortise lock and they've lost the keys, again, because I've learnt to open these locks non-destructively, I can still put that lock back into working. People say, well, yeah, but if they've lost the key, you don't want to give them the same key in case someone finds a key they can break in. Not a problem. You swap the levers around in the lock. Yeah, but then you're going to have to change the lever pack. Well, no, because if I've got the key cutting facilities on the van, which you people do, I'll take my decoder or my makeup key, whatever I'm using, and I'll get 2 key blanks on the van, or 3 key, whatever, how many key blanks I need, and I'll make a working key from that. So I'll use the customer's lock, swap the levers around, cut them a totally different new key that will work with that lever pack that's in there. Their old key won't work still, and it's cost me no locks. I'm not carrying around dead stock in my vehicle. You know, I'm not carrying around stuff bouncing around, boxes splitting, locks coming out, rubbing on the shelving and everything, dulling the finish on the locks. I don't have to do that. The customer gets re-secured, you know, if they've got British standard locks anyway, and you can make a working key for it, you know, unless the curtain's worn and you replace the curtain, but everything else is fine. You know, it keeps the cost down for the customer, which ultimately is ideal. The profit that you make is more because your end price might not be as big as if I was to change the lock. So we've got fire brigade, looks like it's going to fire, hope everyone's alright. Yeah, so I'm able to change these, put these locks back into working order, but I've made more of a profit than if I was to have carried all of the locks and sold them a new lock, because it's almost just cost me 2 key blanks, and the cost of a key blank compared to the cost of a new lock to us is obviously cheaper. I'm not carrying around extra weight which is burning more fuel. I haven't had to put an order in with my supplier for £1,000, £1,500, £2,000 order to ensure I've got everything in the van. So my expenditure on a monthly basis is less, so my turnover might not be as much as the next guy, but my profit could possibly be the same or higher because I've not had to use as much materials as anybody else, if that makes sense. I hope that kind of makes sense, guys. So there is benefits to being able to do it, and then although a lot of people it's more about the money for them, you know, that's fine, but I think you can still be an extremely profitable business by not having as much stock. You know, you can even repin cylinders, swap the pins around in a cylinder and reconfigure it if you learn to make a key by hand. And that's still something that I do, because there's the odd time you'll go to a place and it could be a really odd sized cylinder, you know, for argument's sake, I don't know, 20mm on the outside, 45mm. I'm just making a random size here, but I'm sure people will get the picture that I'm trying to paint. A really obscure sized cylinder, and it's the size cylinder that I don't carry. I can order one in, no problem, you know, but it'll mean I have to go do a second visit, put a cylinder in that's either too long or whatever. But what I could do, if I've got the key blanks on the van, is I take that customer cylinder out, change the pin configuration around, as long as you don't interfere with the max, you know, you can then just go and make a new key to that cylinder, and the old key won't work, and you've not had to change the cylinder. Again, it's cost you 2 blanks. The use of your file, if you know how to use it, or your key machine, whatever way you want to do it, or if you've got a electronic machine that can cut to, you know, like a Futura or something, which I'm fortunate enough to have, there's ways and means, and again, I've not had to carry all of the cylinders. So this is why non-destructive is quite important to me, because I can pick a cylinder open if the customer's lost the key and just do that process that I've just told you, and then I'm not having to go back on a second visit and blah 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 and all of the other stuff in and out between. And I think it just gives your business that bit more of an edge, you know, when you're working with bailiffs, and it's helped me massively, and it's got me a lot of work, and work I've got with this housing association, as I've said in a previous video, by them seeing me open a steel door non-destructively, which is something I wouldn't have wanted to drill, because then the door would have to be taken off and sent off to be repaired, because it was almost like a Cytex door. So it's one of the reasons why that non-destructive is, I mean, I keep using that terminology, non-destructive, you know, but it's just to sort of let people understand why I choose to do things that way, you know, and that for you to sort of see it from a different point of view, and hopefully it makes sense, you know. I mean, there'll be people there who say, well, you know, by doing this, doing that, you're interfering with the British standard of the lock or anything like that, you know. There's always going to be someone out there who's got some form of criticism or opinion on it, and that's fine. I can, you know, I'm not worried on that. I'm just giving you my personal experiences, my personal opinion, and as I said previously, it's not law, you know. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's my way of doing things, and it stood me in good stead, and it's helped me maintain a business by operating like that. And then I'll move on to like more of the cylinders, where the high-end cylinders are coming in, and people again now are starting to understand, I think, a lot more now why picking is important, because now a lot of properties, especially new build stuff, they're coming with security handles, past 24 handles. They're coming with 3-star cylinders on a lot of places now, or if you have a new door installed, all the furniture on the property is to make that door as secure as it possibly can, you know. So when you start drilling into these, you then start drilling into handles or security excursions. You're drilling into a cylinder that has now, some of these new cylinders are like 11, 15 pins. Sidebars, they're coming with firing pins in the cams. So there's a lot more need now to learn to be non-destructive with cylinders and picking them open, because it's going to get harder, you know. Over the next 5 years, everything's going to evolve again, you know. There's going to be another level people are working towards, you know, and the drill will always get through, don't get me wrong, but you know, you could go through 8, 10, 12, 20 drill bits, you know, and if you're paying for semi-decent drill bits so they don't shatter, and you're paying £3 a drill bit or £6 a drill bit, whatever you're using, plus the VAT and the postage, and you know, drilling a lock can become quite expensive now. And if you break a drill bit in a lock, that can open up a whole host of other problems. Then if a lock doesn't want to play ball once you've drilled it because of burrs, or a pin's shot up somewhere, or it's got steel pins and ball bearing, you can make a job now turn into an hour and a half, 2 hour opening because of a little problem. And then, you know, if you then having to start replacing handles, you now have to carry handles on the van to cover the past 24 side of things, to put the person's property back into order. You run the risk of causing damage to the mechanism, the doors. Whereas if you learn to pick these cylinders open, if you can pick them open and you're still going to change them, not a problem. You know, you've not damaged anything, you've got the door open, you still get the upsale or the lock swapping scenario, because you're not going to really sit there and make a new key to that lock now. You know, when you start getting into these new locks with the mobile pins and passive pins and sidebars, trying to strip one of them down on a job and make a new key to, it's not worth the time or effort. So I'd agree there, then you're going to start to want to swap cylinders. So now is getting to the sort of time where learning to do all these picking and using these tools that are coming to the market in order for you to open these locks is where it's getting more and more important nowadays. And for people that are doing warrants, you know, I know there's some out there that's still able to get away with drilling locks, and again, I don't frown upon it. It's not my business to frown upon it. But as these tools evolve, and there's more and more locksmiths who are going down the route of learning to become as close to 100% non-destructive as they possibly can, these companies then who take on the locksmiths are then going to sort of hopefully get to a point where they realise they're going to have to pay that extra bit of a premium for someone that can do it, or they're going to have to sort of think, well, this one's costing us more money because we're having to pay out for new locks and whatever else, so we're going to have to sort of say bye-bye to them. So it won't hurt people to learn to be more non-destructive. So hopefully that sort of gives people an insight as to why I do it. And again, on the commercial side of things, when I was doing them at night time, if I was drilling these locks, it's making a lot of noise, a lot of vibration. Some of these properties or, you know, commercial units I was working on had flats above them or flats around and houses around, and the last thing they want is noise going on at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So I was able to go to these jobs and open them up as quietly as possible. And it made for a good life. It was a good tactic because bailiffs were happy, they were more willing to give you work, and other people that are speaking between themselves become aware, and before you know it, people are aware of you and you're getting called up and asked to cover work, or other locksmiths are asking you, can you cover this, can you cover that? And again, I'm not then having to pay for advertising, so I'm then saving money on advertising because I've taken the time to learn to be non-destructive. So I'm saving money, as I said previously. I'm not having to pay as much fuel necessarily. I don't have to have as much stock cover on my insurances because I'm not carrying maybe as much stock as other people. I don't, you know, all these things eventually, and that's why I say the turnover, you know, A and B locksmiths down the road might be doing a turnover, you know, 10, 20 grand more than me, 30, 40 grand more than me, for argument's sake. But when you actually look at what is the profit out of that compared to mine, potentially it could be the same, or mine could even be more of a bigger profit because my overheads are less. You know, I mean, it might be a bit different from other parts of, say, London and someone up north or whatever, because obviously down here I have the overheads of parking and congestion charge and stuff, which can, you know, you can lose 20 quid per job essentially. But yeah, that's why I do it, guys. And you know, but you do what works for your business, and as I said, I'm no guru in all of this stuff, but I'm just giving you an insight into why I operate the way I do, and hopefully that will make sense to a lot of people. So I'm going to call it an end for this video. It's another 35-minute video of me waffling, but anyone got any questions, as usual, just put them down in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, press the notification button if you want to know when my next videos go up. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I'll look at doing some other videos now on maybe showing you the array of tools that I use, or like my top 5 tools, or, you know, let me know in the comments what you'd like to see. You know, would you like to see the full array of tools that I carry? Would you like to see what my top 5 are? Would you like to know, you know, what are my least favourite tools out of the tools that I personally own? You know, I can't comment on other people's tools. If I don't own them, I can't comment on them. But, you know, you let me know, guys, and I'll work on something for you. But other than that, have a good day, and I'll do another video soon, guys. Take care. Bye.